Peace and grace. My name is Fadi Nabi Kamal. I am a doctor living in the UK. I work in the field of psychiatry, and I would like hereby to present some video clips on my response to a thesis done by Hegumen Father Youhanna Nassif in the US. I have been requested to make these clips and record this video by some friends and relatives because I have already done a written response, but it's quite long and quite detailed. So I'm not going to repeat everything that I said in the written response, but I am just going to expand on some points, especially those related to scientific evidence, as well as the practical inclinations of the request of Hegumen Father Youhanna Nassif, and above all, the spiritual aspect on what he requested in the manner of changing the date of the Feast of Nativity or Christmas from the 7th of January in the Roman calendar, or in the Western calendar, I should say, to the 25th of December. I will try to make these video clips quite interesting, although I know the scientific material, the practical issues, as well as the spiritual aspect may be a little bit bland. But I hope that the presentation would interest you enough to give me your opinions, certainly on the video clips, as well as the written response if you have the time. And unfortunately, I am not a blogger. I cannot really edit videos that well, or put any sound effects or visual effects. That's why you can see I'm sitting next to a window and trying my best to make it as lively as possible. But I would be very grateful if you can give me your opinions when you have watched these video clips. One thing to point out is that these days we are in April 2019, corresponding to Baramoda 1735 Anno Martiri, according to the calendar of the martyrs, the Coptic calendar, where we are about 3 months from the time that I had started reading the thesis done by Hegumen Father Youhanna Nassif, and all of these video clips will be revolving around my response to the change in the date from the 7th of January till the 25th of December, as I said. And it is worthwhile mentioning that the more that I had researched and the more that I tried to find answers to the information and knowledge presented by the thesis of our Hegumen Father in the first place, the more I had realized that our forefathers in the Coptic Church were really genius, and they were doing things really on a very solid premise, not just on a whim. And in fact, I couldn't say that in any other period of my life, because I was never really close to the Coptic Church in the first place. So I never felt attached or connected to the Coptic forefathers, for example. But probably this thesis done by our Hegumen Father had the blessing for me, quite a blessing in disguise, as they say, to be able to understand more about the legacies of the Coptic Church, and also to understand that the Coptic forefathers in the Church of Alexandria, or the Alexandrian school, were really genius, and were probably preceding their own age, and they outperformed and outdid scientists who came after them, to the extent that they outdid the scientists, the Western scientists that changed the calendar altogether from Julian calendar to Gregorian calendar in the 16th century. And I will show why in the next few clips. But suffice it to say, for the time being, that we have learned in science in general that there is nothing to be called wrong and nothing to be called right, absolute wrong or absolute right. There is always what is incorrect and correct, or shall we say rather inappropriate and appropriate. And I will start discussing the things that I found in the thesis, and expand on some general points as well. Once again, I would like the watcher or the reader to go back to the written response for more elaboration and expansion on these points. Okay, now I would like to mention 2 points about the correction of the old style Julian calendar into the new style Gregorian calendar. But first of all, let us just do this exercise together. Let's imagine something to make it clearer and make it closer to our minds, what I'm about to explain. Let us say that we have met all together, me, you, and yourself, and all the other people watching this clip, and we said we will count the days anew, afresh, from today. We have sat down together, and we thought to ourselves, okay, let us name this day the first day of the first month, and it would be a Sunday. Sunday being the first day of the week. Let's say that we called the days of the week by their names: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, etc. And there are 7 days to a week, and so on and so forth. But the only premise that we formed together was that the day expands over 48 hours rather than 24 hours. And we all agreed, and we went back home, and that was fine. So we, before we go home, actually, before we went home all together, we agreed, I agreed with yourself and with all the other people, that we will be meeting on the 4th day of the first month, on the 4th day of this week, which is supposed to be a Wednesday. And we all agreed, and everyone went their own way. Then, after I went back home, I actually found out that I made a slight miscalculation, and the day actually runs over 24 hours rather than 48 hours. And then I thought to myself, oh, that's wrong. Then I got out my workbook, my pen and paper, and started calculating, and found out that I will be meeting again with yourselves on the 7th day. 6 days will have passed rather than only 3 when we meet again. So I thought to myself, well, we need to have a discussion around this when we meet. So we came together on the 7th day for me, on the 4th day for yourselves, and I told you, whoa, please let us be clear. I actually worked out the mistake that we had made, or we had fallen in. And apparently one day actually runs over 24 hours rather than 48 hours. And then quite a commotion came over, and everyone said, well, how come? How is this happening? No, we agreed it will be 48 hours for one day, not 24. You cannot arbitrarily think to yourself that it is 24 hours. And I said, yes, but this is the true calculation, the right calculation. And this in itself, please beware that this in itself is arbitrary. We never say 24 hours is the real deal or the real length or period of a day time, because it is not simply just a matter of sunrise or sunset or sunrise the next day, because the sun rises in different times all across the year. That's A. B, in the northern hemisphere, if I am living in the northern hemisphere in the autumn, people are living in spring in the southern hemisphere, and vice versa. So this whole adjustment of the Julian calendar into Gregorian calendar was not actually aimed at correcting seasons or correcting days or correcting anything. I'm coming to that point anyway. But it's just arbitrary naming the days and calling them and whatever. But then I said, well, people, listen to me, please. It's only 24 hours, not 48 hours. So please, today is the 7th day. It should actually be the 7th of the first month, not the 4th. And people say, no, it is Wednesday, the 4th of the month. It is not the 7th. And you do your own thing. We will keep to our own premise, our own understanding, and that's it. So, what did I say? I actually said that, okay, you call it the 4th, I call it the 7th. But today is Wednesday the 7th. See what I've done. This is the second flaw I fell in. I still called it a Wednesday. Okay, I still called it a Wednesday even though it is the 7th. So now we have two Wednesdays in the same year. One of them is the 4th and one of them is the 7th. That's exactly what happened in the year 1582 when Pope Gregory XIII ordered people to sleep at night of the 4th of October, which was a Thursday, and wake up on Friday, the 15th of October. So the people, all the nations, excepting Pope Gregory's countries, or the countries under his auspices, Italy, Spain, part of France, Poland and Portugal, except those 4.5, everybody else woke up on Friday the 5th. But these 4.5 countries woke up on Friday the 15th. And that's what I mean about all the... So that is the first point. That is the first point. The second point is this adjustment in the Western calendar from old style Julian calendar into new style Gregorian calendar was not really aimed at correcting anything, whether daylight or day length or seasons or anything. It was not aimed at that at all. It was just aimed at recalculating Easter, because the Western Church had still been following the Eastern Church, included in it the Coptic Church of Alexandria. They had been following in the time of Easter, but they thought we should do our own calculation, and at that time they actually found that the vernal equinox, or the equinox of the spring, comes in a different day to what was the case in the 4th century. In the 4th century, at the time of the Nicene Council, the Council of Nicaea. Not really the start of the usage of old style Julian calendar per se, or any other thing, not any other reason. It was just to recalculate Easter